Oh man, guys, listen, I'm very sorry. I am a few minutes late. Sorry about that. Things happen, unfortunately, kind of outside of my control. So, but yeah, I'm a couple minutes late. But I yesterday I had my very first fantasy football show. It was fantastic. I got a little overwhelmed with comments. One of the things that I always pride myself on is the show is all questions are answered and anything goes. Anything goes has a few restrictions, but I always do try to answer any questions. And I found after the show ended, I went back. There were 6 questions that I saw that weren't answered. If you had a fantasy football question that I didn't get to, I found 6 in the chat afterwards. So I'm going to answer all questions. If you have a question about your fantasy football team, drop a comment. I would ask, it's easier for me if you just drop a comment on YouTube. Just drop a comment. Dan, what would you do? And I will get back to you after I watch Thursday Night Football. The way it works is that I do unfortunately have a full-time job. So what I do is that I have to go to work right after the show. That's why the show ends at 4. That's why I wasn't able to answer all questions, but I'm going to do my best from now on. But the show ends at 4. After I get off work, I have the Dolphins-Bills game on DVR. It's going to be a great game. I watch that, then I'll get to all your comments. But if you, or I'll get to all your questions. So I felt terrible because I found several questions that were fantastic, and I missed. I'm going to answer all these questions now. If you have any questions about your fantasy football team, I will answer them. Basically, I think what I'm going to do is at the very last 10 minutes of the show, I'll tell everybody, hey, look, put your questions in the comments. By the way, you can always hit me up on social media. Always hit me up on social media, dantalksfootball@yahoo.com. You can email me. I check all these things on a daily basis, but I'm not, depending on what part of the country you're at, but basically, I'm not going to start watching Thursday Night Football till about 2 hours after the game is over. So if you have a fantasy football question, that's where you're at. But anyway, Perry, what's up, brother? Man, I'm sorry I'm late. Man. Outside of my control. I'll try not to let it happen again. But man, how are you doing? That's what's more important. The thing of it is, if you're going to play fantasy football, you need to do research and watch games. Guys, that's for fantasy football advice. Shouldn't be met. No, well, it shouldn't be met at you. Well, that's the whole point of subscribing to Dan Talks Football is that you may not have the time to do the research. So it's a one-stop shop here. Because I'll be honest with you, I love fantasy football. I'm not an expert on it. I am an expert on sports betting, and I do want to talk about some of the games here. I'm not putting any action down on any games this week, but there's several games I like. College football, I'm tempted to put some action down on Oregon State. Oregon State's a 16-point home dog. It's a rivalry game. I might put some action down on that. One Pride, what's up, brother? First fantasy football question. Flex, Keon Coleman or Brian Thomas Jr.? Josh Allen's my quarterback. Oh, boy, what a great question. That's a real tough one, and I'll tell you why. I do think that Keon Coleman could get a touchdown tonight. I really, really do. I'm not sold on Miami's defense, even though they shut out Jacksonville in the second half. I'm going to tell you something. Brian Thomas Jr., I think has all the tools to be a star. The Browns defense is tough. Okay. If you look at the Cowboys putting up, I think it was 33 points. You're going to say, no, 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 no. The defense is solid, but they got a lot of weapons. That's a great question. I wish I could give you a definite answer. I would, Brian Thomas Jr. had a touchdown last week. I think Keon Coleman might score in tonight's game. I really do. But I mean, here's the thing though. Out of the two players, I think Brian Thomas Jr. is head and shoulders better. But you're going against a really tough defense. I don't have a lot of faith in the Dolphins defense. My final answer would be Keon Coleman. But I could see Brian Thomas Jr. just blowing up and you being really pissed at me. The thing is, though, that Browns defense is so tough. And I predicted I haven't had a chance to go over the Browns injury report. I have gone over the Dolphins injury report. Devin A-Chain game time decision. So go with Keon Coleman. I got a feeling he's due for a score. I got a weird feeling he's going to score tonight. And that's why Josh Allen, if Josh Allen's your quarterback, it's really not going to matter. I think Josh Allen's going to have a phenomenal game. Last four games at Miami, he's had 2 400-yard games, went over 350 last year. Plus, he had, I think it was 60-something yards rushing. So go with Keon Coleman. I think he's going to have a touchdown tonight. So I think with by the way, I think with Keon Coleman, I think you're going to get a solid anywhere between 9 and 15 points. With Brian Thomas Jr., you could have a massive game. You could also have a 2 for 11 game. But the thing is, though, with Josh Allen, I think you'll double dip. With Josh Allen as your starting quarterback, I think you'll be in good shape either way. I would go with Keon Coleman. That's just my opinion. So I saw that on Instagram, man. I saw it on Instagram, man. I hope you had fun. Neighbors is questionable. Do I start Keon over him? No. And the reason why I say that, I fully expect Neighbors to play. Not only do I expect Neighbors to play, Washington's defense is not good. And I think that there's going to be a lot of pressure to kind of force feed them. I think Neighbors is going to have a good game. I really, really, really do. The questionable thing, I'm pretty convinced he's going to play. Like I said, I kind of got a feeling Keon Coleman's going to score tonight. But with Neighbors, I think you could be throwing away 100 yards and a touchdown. I think he's going to have a huge game against Washington. Neighbors, I think, is a must start. Don't worry about the questionable. That whole Giants team is going to be really amped up. I've been, if you watch my NFC East preview video, I predicted that Washington will have a better record than the Giants. I kind of like New York to win this game though. So keep Neighbors. I think Neighbors is a start. Neighbors is a good one. Player prop bets you like for tonight? That's a great question, Andre. So I have BetUS pulled up. I have an affiliation with BetUS. I've been going over some different sites. I didn't pull up any prop bets though. Let me see if I can find some prop bets here, because if I can, I do like Josh Allen running. I just don't know what the number is. Let me see if I can find some good prop bets, because I like Josh Allen running the ball. And let me see here. Let me find some prop bets here for you. I don't know if you're using BetUS or not, but let me pull some prop bets up here. Josh Allen running the ball, I do like. Let me see here. This is my first time going over to prop bets. They don't. I'm going over prop bets for. I will say this: BetUS, unless it's at a different format. I'm not a fan of. They don't have any player prop bets because I was going to suggest. Okay. You know what? There's not any player prop bets. That's very disappointing. Very, very disappointing. All right. Player prop bets. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I do like Josh Allen running. I think Josh Allen's going to have a fantastic game. I really do. I think he's going to have like a player of the week type of game. I'm not sold on Miami's defense at all. I'm not sold on Miami's defense at all. I think it's going to be a fun game. Now, keep in mind, the last time they played, it was 21-14, but Josh Allen still blew up. It was, if I remember right, it was 67 yards rushing, over 350 yards passing. So I like anything Josh Allen related. You can't really go wrong with. I got a feeling Jalen Waddle's going to have a good game. Not Tyreek Hill. I could see Buffalo trying to shut down Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle had over 100 last week. It wouldn't surprise me he goes over 100 this week. So I'm really sorry because I have a affiliation with BetUS. Nobody's asked me about player prop bets. I was looking at before I went on the show, before I started the show. The one thing I do like is that you'll have some sites with Miami at 2.5, BetUS is at 2, but I like the money line. BetUS is plus 125. Like Caesars has 2.5, but the money line for the Bills is 118. Really minor, but the play for Thursday night would be the Buffalo money line, which I'm not putting any action down this week. But the Bills' money line is really, really good. The Bills' money line is really, really good. By the way, Perry has been high on Brian Thomas Jr. since March. And Thomas Jr. Is a guy I really, 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 really like. One pride going after Cougars now. I love it. So of the hey Boone, I'm here to help out, brother. Please let me know how this works out for you. By the way, I do expect Keon Coleman to score a touchdown. I don't think he's going to have like 150 and a touchdown. Neighbors, I fully expect against a bad Washington defense to have a game. I mean, keep in mind, I think they're going to pull out all the stops. I think you're going to see a lot of creativity on the Giants offense. So I think you're going to like it. Cap for life. What's up, brother? Here's some dating advice. I love it. I put the over on Cook rushing 60 yards, but I also put the over on Jonnu Smith getting 15 yards receiving. Jonnu Smith, I'm not sure about, but Cook over 60 yards, I like. Cook over 60 yards, I like. I really like that one. I think you're going to hit. I'm actually going to star that comment here because one of my biggest goals is to help people win their fantasy football leagues and to do sports betting. I'm a sports betting expert, but I'm not a fantasy football expert. But this year I've decided to do a lot more fantasy football because I have an extensive knowledge of the NFL, even though I forgot some names. Somebody brought in GW and I was just racking my brain like, what's GW? And it occurred to me Garrett Wilson. So But as far as sports betting is concerned, 60 yards rushing on Cook, I like that a lot. I really do. Jonnu Smith getting 15 yards receiving. I hope you hit it. I hope you hit it. I'm not as high on that. I'm not as high on that, but I could also see the reason why I do like it. I'm gonna tell you the reason why I do like it is I think Buffalo may play a lot of. I'm gonna call it too deep shell. So I'm a Chiefs fan, and with the Chiefs, when the Chiefs had Tyreek Hill, one of the things that teams started doing prevent one of the things that Chiefs people playing against the Chiefs. I'll get this sentence out eventually. One of the things people started doing against the Chiefs is just lining up two safeties in the parking lot and just playing everything ahead, and it opened up things. Kelsey had some phenomenal games, phenomenal seasons. And Jonnu Smith's an athlete. I have no idea why he's kind of been bouncing around. I mean, he's an athlete. Good hands. I really think that he's just not been on the right team. I don't know the stats on what he did last week, but I know that Miami has not really been using him that much. At least I don't think they did week 1. But I could see if Buffalo does the same thing that they did against Kansas City when they had Tyreek Hill and put two safeties in the parking lot, try to beat you underneath. I mean, basically you get one catch and you hit. So hopefully that works, man. I put a star by that comment because I'm going to do everything I can to make you guys as much money as possible. So I like Cook. I'm iffy on Jonnu Smith, but one catch, you get it. So always hedge. Cap for life. I'm going to assume you're relatively new to my show. I'm always anti-parlay, but the $5 6-8 parlays I have no problem with because you hit one of those, you're going to get a couple $100. I'm going to try to make this simple. The only time I would recommend a parlay is if you do, let's say you got 3 games and you bet $100 on each game, right? If you win 2, which normally you're at negative 110. So if you win 2, you lose 1. You're usually walking out of the casino with like $80. Less than half is what I would do on a parlay. So let's say you're making 3 $100 bets. The most I would do on a parlay would be like 25 to 35. But I'm pretty anti-parlay, but I do like the hedge. And then a $5 6 or 8 parlay. I mean, if you hit, you're going to hit what? A couple hundred, maybe $1,000 if you're doing an 8-leg $5 parlay. You might hit 1,000 or 2,000. It's kind of funny. I was using Vegas Insider, which Kelly in Vegas, before she got really big, mainly because I didn't hit on her. She answered on my DM. She sent me a Vegas Insider link. I got that from Kelly in Vegas. She actually sent it to me. Sliding in her DMs. Before she blew up, you can't DM her anymore. She's too big now, but several years ago, I messaged her a couple times. She responded, and one of the things she responded was she sent me the link to Vegas Insider. I was on Vegas Insider looking at different sites and seeing what they had for Buffalo and Miami. And you'll find several sites where you can get 2.5 instead of 2. But BetUS has plus 125, which I couldn't find anybody had better than plus 125. Caesars, which has Buffalo and 2.5, money line's negative 118, where BetUS is at 2, but the money line's at 125. So at Buffalo money line is where I would do the action at, but I'm not a parlay guy. It's actually funny. I had a guy scheduled to come on my show that did parlays, and 1 hour before the show, he blocked me on all social media. And my thought process was that he reached out to me. He wanted to come on my show. And I think he saw I was anti-parlay because like 1 hour before we were getting ready to go on, we messaged each other back and forth during the week. And I was like, hey, you ready? And I couldn't message him. I was like, what's going on? And I saw blocked. And like, all right. But yeah, at $5, it's $5. Yeah. So let me know if you ever hit any of them. But I'm a very big anti-parlay guy. What are my thoughts on tonight's game? I like Buffalo in a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be fun, even though a couple of these games are short. I've been low scoring. There's been, a 21-19 game. That's why, 2.5, I would just stick with the money line. This is a huge game. Of all the games this week, I think, now keep in mind, I'm a Chiefs fan, so Chiefs Bengals is a nice rivalry. But if you had to say what's game of the week, I'd say it's this one. I mean, if Miami wins, you're one game ahead of Buffalo. The Jets already lost the game. No disrespect to Keaton. He's a big Patriots fan, but nobody's really fearing the Patriots anymore. So, it's a huge game. If Buffalo gets a win, you beat Miami on the road. Miami's not going into Buffalo and winning. That's not going to happen. So you really kind of hunker down in that AFC East. If you're Miami, I think it's because you're not winning in Buffalo. You could sit here blue in the face any given Sunday. You're not going to Buffalo and winning. So it's a huge game. It's a huge game, and because the Bills, they're not thinking. I know they lost to Kansas City in Buffalo in the playoffs, but they really want home field. So yeah. Dallas used Cook. They didn't game one. I'm kind of following that. I think they should. I think they need to get him involved as soon as possible. Why they didn't use him, I don't know. They need to get him involved. The sooner they get him involved, the better. Sergio, what's up, brother? Do I drop Cortland Sutton for Jalen Wright? No. A-Chain's questionable. Here's the deal with I know Cortland Sutton didn't do much for you week one. He's not going to have a good game against the Steelers. I'm telling you that right now. He's not going to have a good game against Steelers. You don't want to drop him. If you're talking even just for tonight's game, I wouldn't do it. And I'll tell you why. Sutton is production is going to keep going up and up and up and up. Do I like Kincaid to bounce back tonight? I do. I'm a huge Kincaid fan. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think it's going to be a very high scoring game. So yes, I don't know if he's going to score. I got a feeling Keon Coleman's going to get his first NFL touchdown. Tua over 5 yards rushing. I like that. A same game parlay. Oh, that's a good one. Wonder what parlay do you have? Okay, a parlay bet is you bet on three. You could do a 2-game parlay. I used to do what's called a 2-game teaser. I don't recommend. A parlay bet is where you bet on multiple games. All of them have to hit. The most common is a 3-game parlay, but if you do a 5 or 6, or I think you said it, I think Cap for Life said he does an 8. So what a parlay bet is that you're betting on multiple games. Like, for example, I got BetUS pulled up for week 2. So like, let's just say, for example, you do a 3-game parlay. You take Buffalo +2, Baltimore -9.5, Chargers -5.5. You have to have all 3 of them hit. Now, and instead of just like, let's say you do $100 parlay, all 3 of them have to hit, but it's not $300. You're winning quite a bit. Kelly in Vegas, she got famous because she went to K-State. That's why we started talking. We're both from, but I lived in Overland Park, Kansas for a long time, moved out here. She did it. So I had some questions about Vegas, and that's how we started chatting. Kelly in Vegas we're not friends. We have sent a few messages. She had hit a $100, I think it was a 3 or 5 game college basketball parlay won her like $15,000. And I almost right after that, she quit her bartending job, started doing sports betting. And I mean, I think she'll tell you that the reason why she started a job on Wager Talk was because she's a very attractive girl. But she also, when you hit a big parlay like that, and she hit enough that she was also making some good money as a bartender too. I mean, if you're an attractive girl in Vegas and you're a good bartender, you're going to make six figures. You're going to make six figures. So, but a parlay bet, I'm sorry, I kind of went on a rant. Three, usually it's three, but you can have, I've seen people try to do like an 8-leg parlay and you can win a lot. I never recommend parlay bets, but a $5 parlay, keep in mind when you're doing a $5 parlay, you're just throwing it away. It's like buying a lottery ticket. This is I like this a lot. I actually like this a lot. Trey, what's up, brother? I got that. That's my play. I'm not putting the action down this week on the NFL. If I was, I would take the Bills money line. I would ignore the 2.5, depending on what you got. I also, for some reason, the line is going way up, which I was very surprised. It was at 7. It's now at 8. Detroit's an 8-point favorite over Tampa Bay. I like Tampa Bay to cover. I really like Tampa Bay to cover. And also like the Jets to cover 4. I know a road favorite is tough to bet on, but I really think the Jets, I have no faith in the Titans at all. So I like the Jets to cover 4. The Rams are actually a 1-point road dog at Arizona. They got a lot of people injured. I'm a little iffy on that, but I do like the Rams. And Steelers are a 2.5-point road favorite against the Broncos. I kind of like the Steelers, but that's iffy. But if you use BetUS, if you use my promo code below, the promo code, the big one that they promote's a 125% bonus, but that's it includes like a 25% casino chips because they have a virtual casino. I don't do that. I used a 20% bonus just straight up. So my $100 bet was 120. BetUS right now offers plus 125 money line. I went on Vegas Insider. You can't get better than plus 125 money line on BetUS. If you haven't put action down yet, go to BetUS, put plus 125. That would probably be the best bet that you could make. Promote my own stuff here, but happy Thursday. Oh my God, look at this. Look at this. I got the great one. The B and the Backtalk brothers. The talent. Gooch. Afternoon delight. Yes. God, I love having Gooch in the chat. Oh God, we're talking about Cougars. I love it. Which defense do you like better, Bills or Fins? Right now, I'm not a fan of either. And the reason why is the Bills have a lot of turnover. About 5 or 6 new starters. Dolphins gave up 17 in the first half against Jacksonville. Shut them out in the second half. I want to see what's going on with Miami. I want to see what's going on tonight. Because I don't know if that was just Jacksonville falling apart or if Anthony Weaver has something going on. Keep in mind, Anthony Weaver's it's his first time being a defensive coordinator. I kind of want to see what's going on because remember they lost a bunch of starters. Miami did this offseason, Van Geekel, Christian Wilkins, Xavier Howard. There's one other player I'm drawing a blank on. But I kind of want to see what's going on. Jordan Poyer, longtime Bill safety, is now in Miami. That's going to be interesting. The Bills, though, the one thing I want to say about the Bills is Gregory Rousseau played at University of Miami, by the way. He had 3 sacks. This was a guy when he was coming out. This is a former receiver who just grew just pure athleticism and talent and length. There's no ceiling how good Gregory Rousseau could be. Now, keep in mind, I think he got all 3 of the sacks when Jonah Williams went down last week. But this is a guy that has a lot of potential. Plus, you have Von Miller, who I don't think deserves that contract that the Bills gave him, but he's always been a good locker room guy, always been a good leader. I think he's really helping out. You have some, you have some youth on that team. So I really can't give you a good answer, to be honest with you. If I had to say, hey Dan, pick one, I'm going to go with the Bills. I really want to wait. I really want to wait and see. I want to see, does Anthony Weaver have some like magic? Is this like one of those future NFL head coaches? I mean, he was a longtime defensive line coach in Baltimore. Did a fantastic job. Did a really fantastic job in Baltimore. Earned the right to be an NFL defensive coordinator, but he had one game. One half he did bad, one half he did good. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I would tell you the Bills. Sergio was asking just as a bench spot. I would not, and the reason why I wouldn't do this is because I think Sutton is constantly throughout the year going to keep getting better and better and better, and it's all predicated on Bo Nix. Bo Nix is a rookie who looks like he belongs in the NFL. If you look at his stats, it looked terrible. But the one thing I liked is that his poise. He looked like he belonged in an NFL offense. Sean Payton is a guy who's, I think, really going to develop him. Cortland Sutton's a guy that you probably are going to want to start down the line in a couple of weeks. So getting him as a bench, I think, is smart. Do not drop him for Jalen Wright. Do not do it, because Jalen Wright was inactive. Mozart and A-Chain, I'm sorry, I'm getting that name tongue-tied. Those guys are the 1 and 2. Wright's like a 4-string guy, and I think that even when he does start playing, he may just be like a kick punt return type of guy. They're not really high on him. Sutton's a guy that you'll probably start later down the line. I really believe that. Don't start him this week against Steelers defense, but later on down the line, yeah, I'm leaning towards Bills as well, but I think if Hill and Waddle goes off on the Bills could be in trouble. I think the Bills are really going to try to take Tyreek Hill out. If I had to say I like one receiver in this, I think Waddle may have a better game. I think Waddle may go over 100 again. Waddle and Hill both went over 100 last week. Tyreek Hill had that 80-yard touchdown. You take that away, 6 catches, 50 yards. And I think Waddle's the dude that may blow up in this game. Every time I watch Miami play, I'm always impressed. Every time I watch Miami, I always say the same thing, like, God, Jalen Waddle's such a stud. And I think he'll smart Miami paid him. Waddle's a guy, watch out for. Waddle can play, folks. He can play. At Trey, I don't think their defense is top tier. There are other teams with better. I think the Bills' defense is better than the Finns. I think so too. Do you think Allen doesn't have chemistry or trust Kincaid? Do you think the OC is not using him right? I think it's just a combination of time. I think it's time, really, because last year you had Stephon Diggs, you had Gabe Davis. And then they started implementing the running game a little more. I think it's just a time thing. Remember they fired Dorsey, or it was Ken Dorsey They fired him midway through the season. I think it's just a matter of time. Kincaid's a guy I absolutely love. I really thought he was going to be used a little more, but he could have a big game tonight. I think it's just a time thing. Captain Joking, huge fan of the show. Already a sub. Should I trade Worthy and Flowers for more? I get more PPR league. So I'm gonna level with you. Worthy, you're not going to get much for. I think he's not going to get 2 touchdowns every single week. Hollywood Brown's going to come back, and the question is, that's kind of a throw in for Flowers. Because I think Flowers is a guy that I'm kind of high on, so that's kind of what you're throwing. I'm drawing a blank. I'm drawing a blank on Moore, and I'm so embarrassed. I did this yesterday where I drew a blank on Flowers. I'm drawing a blank on Moore, but you're not going to get much out Worthy. I'm so sorry. I'm drawing a blank on Moore. I'm so embarrassed. He's going to be a big play guy, but he's not going to be a consistent performer. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns. He's probably going to have anywhere between 5 and 7 all year. When Hollywood Brown comes back, I think that when Hollywood Brown comes back, I think you're going to see his role diminish quite a bit. So you're going to see his role diminish quite a bit. So. I'm sorry. I'm just drawing a blank when you're saying more. I'm just drawing a complete blank. I'm so embarrassed about this. I'm just drawing a blank. Denver Gator. If you don't think this is the greatest show ever, I will fight you. He gets it. At Denver Gator, you think will win tonight? Aiden's World. What do you think about Hollywood Brown? I'm following this really closely because I am a huge Chiefs fan. This guy knows I'm a Chiefs fan, but for those of you who don't know, I'm a huge Chiefs fan. The Chiefs picked up Hollywood Brown this offseason. He's on a 1-year, $12 million deal, but I mean, look at the contracts these receivers are getting. If Hollywood Brown goes over 1,000 yards, he has a chance to get 25 to 30 million a year by a team. So I'm paying attention. I don't know if Hollywood Brown is playing or not. It's still up in the air. It doesn't matter. I still think even if he misses the first 2 games of the season, he could still go over 1,000 yards. I'm paying attention to that on the injury report. I don't know what your fantasy team is. By the way, you kept CMC. He's probably not going to play this week, so make sure you get his replacement to get his backup. You're probably too late, but if I see you in a couple hours, we'll have to go over your team. But make sure you don't start CMC. It looks like he's not going to play Sunday. But as far as Hollywood Brown, I love Hollywood Brown. Even if he misses the game against the Bengals, only plays in 15, I still think he can get 1,000 yards. Still think he can get all for 1,000 yards. Major Captain! Get offer Devontae Adams or Chris Olave. Full PPR, both risky. I'm leaning accept. Ooh, boy. That is a tough one. I like Olave to get more yards. Adams going to get catches. So here's the deal. They're switching offenses with the Saints. I know Olave only had 2 for 11 last week, but I really think that he's going to be used a little more. Devontae Adams, I think is going to be on the trade block sooner or later, but Olave is going to get more yards. Adams is going to get more catches. I'm a big fan of Chris Olave, and if you've been following me, I really like Chris Olave. But in a PPR, I would go with Adams. You're going to get more catches with Adams. You're more likely for Adams to have like a 8 catch, 85-yard performance. Where Olave, you're going to get like a 6 catch, 105. Now if you get a bonus for over in that type of situation, if you get a bonus for over 100, of course you're losing. But I would go with Devontae Adams. Yeah, I would make that move. Don't be mad at me when Chris Olave has that 125-yard 2-touchdown performance. You're going to get 1 or 2 of those. I fully expect Olave to go over 1,000 yards again. I know he had a 2-catch, 11-yard performance. He's a legitimate guy that you want on your team. He's still a flex guy, but I think Devontae Adams in a full PPR. I have no faith in the Raiders' offense. I also think he's a guy that could be moving teams, but he's a guy that going to get 6 to 8 catches for you almost every single week. So I would go ahead and take it, but I want to let you know I'm a huge Chris Olave fan. Yeah. Cole Bowman, what do you think about trading Godwin and Ramondre for Saquon Barkley and a half PPR? I have CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, Rashee Wright. Oh my God, you have some great receivers. Great receivers. I mean, I'm a huge Chris Godwin fan, but I mean, CeeDee Lamb, you got to start him. I love Nico Collins. And then you also, Rashee Rice, you got some great running. You have some great receivers. Puka, of course, he's going to be on IR for a while. So you have Chris Godwin that you're thinking about trading. Dorich, I think he'll start to get phased out. A-Chain, whatever you do, don't start him. Even if he does play, he's not going to be 100%. So you have Cook. That's. I'll be honest with you. I really, really like Cook quite a bit. Warren and then Charbonnet. Charbonnet barely played. I don't know Warren's stats off the top of my head. I don't think he played much. So I get why you want to do that move. And I get why I completely get why you want to make that move, because even though I love Stevenson, I have no confidence that. I mean, look, 28 touches is a lot. I know Barkley had a lot of touches, but Barkley they use him all over. It's a half PPR, so you're going to get a lot more value for Saquon Barkley. Now, I do love Ramondre Stevenson as long as he stays healthy. Godwin's the number 1 guy in Tampa. But is Godwin as good as CD? No. And Rashee Rice is going to put up numbers. You also have Nico Collins. I'm not a fan of A-Chain. I do love Cook. And hold on to Charbonnet, because I think I saw Kenneth Walker was on the injury report, so hold on to Charbonnet. Cole, that's a really, really, really tough one, but I would pull the trigger on it because you already have CeeDee Lamb and you have Rashee Rice and you have Nico Collins. So you have 4 receivers, but you only have, in this situation, you really only have 1 running back in Cook. So I would, in this situation, I would pull the trigger because you're going to get Saquon. Keep in mind, Saquon's had some issues staying healthy. Saquon's had some issues staying healthy. So keep whatever you do not give up Charbonnet. By the way, Ramondre Stevenson's going to put up some points against you. I'm just letting you know right now. And Godwin's a guy that's going to. I mean, both those guys are. You got some points makers in Godwin and Ramondre Stevenson. But looking at your lineup, I only see right now. If you're starting right now, you're going with CD Lamb and Rashid Rice. You're going with Cook and Ramondre, right? So here's what basically you're doing is that you're removing Ramondre and you're going to get Saquon, who's going to do a lot more. He's going to do a lot more. I also would start Rashid Rice over Collins this week. Chicago's an underrated defense, and of course you got to start CD Lamb. So yeah, I would pull the trigger. I would pull the trigger on your situation because I think, by the way, you want to start Cook tonight. I Cook's going to have a good game. Perry, on the other hand, says the other thing. and by the way, I love Stevenson. And Godwin's a number one guy. But in your situation, you would be getting Cook and Saquon, and you just be putting up a lot of points. And then you also have CD, who's your number one playmaker. By the way, when Puka comes back, I would wait for that first week before you put him in the starting lineup. But yeah, I would do this. The Saints play Dallas. Saints play Dallas this week. This show is talking about football, the naughty type. God, I love Denver Gators. I love Barry too. Hey, by the way, that's what I'm gonna explain something. If you have a disagreement with me, I love it. This show is not about me always being right. It's just about, let's just talk football. If you have a question, I have an answer, but I'm not always right. I've been wrong before. I've been wrong before. I made a mistake once. But I always want one thing about a lot of YouTube channels is a lot of people have channels where it has to be an echo chamber. This is not one of them. You can always disagree with me at any time. Love it. Michael McFarland, who would you start? CJ Stroud versus Chicago Bears or Jared Goff versus the Bucks? Full PPR. Also pick 2 running backs: Connor, Dobbins, Mason. I can tell you Dobbins right now. And okay, all right. Dobbins and Cook, you got to start those two. Dobbins, as long as he's healthy, he's a must start. James Cook, I love Cook. I think Connor's going to start getting phased out for Trey Benson. Jordan Mason's probably going to start, but I have no confidence that he's going to do the same thing. CJ Stroud versus the Bears or Goff versus the Bucks. I like Goff versus the Bucks, and the only reason I say that is they're playing at home. I fully expect the Bears to cause some problems for CJ Stroud. Now, are they going to shut him out? Are they going to do something ridiculous? No, probably not. But Goff will. One thing about Tampa Bay is you can throw up. You can throw against the Bucks. So I really think I would go Goff. I think you have to start Dobbins until he gets hurt, and it's probably just a matter of time. But Dobbins, by the way, is going against Carolina. That is not a good defense, and their best defensive player got hurt. Derek Brown, he's out for the whole year. So if you're going against right now, if you're going against Carolina Panthers, you want to get as many starters against Carolina Panthers as you can. So, and Dobbins is a guy. Dobbins is a stud. He just can't stay healthy. And James Cook, especially if you're in a half PPR league, James Cook, I think, could have a great game tonight. He could have a. I think James Cook probably going to do something like between 60 and 80 yards rushing, but I also think he's going to have anywhere between 5 to 8 catches and 50 to 70 yards receiving. I think he's going to have a great game. And if you're doing, and by the way, if you're just doing the math, I think he's going to have somewhere between 130 and 150 total yards tonight. I think he's going to have a huge game. Huge game. May not get in the end zone. But James Cook, I think, is going to be it's going to be a very, very solid performance. Like I said, Jordan Mason, I always hate doing this guy. I like Jordan Mason. I liked him coming out of Georgia Tech. Give him a lot of credit. Love the way he played against the Jets. Love the way he played against the Jets. I think it's kind of a flash in the pan. I really do. I don't. And I'm gonna tell you something. That Minneapolis, Minnesota at home is pretty tough. And I'm kind of a fan of that Vikings defense. So yeah. I'm talking about chicken noodle soup and a Reuben and making football love. All right, enough afternoon delight quotes. Let's talk football. God, I love Denver Gator. I love Denver Gator. All right, Andre, another great question here. But before I answer that question, we are almost completed with the first hour. I apologize because I started a little late. Today. That's on me. I also have some questions that I want to answer from yesterday's show. I'm going to get to. I am going to take a quick commercial break, but Andre, you're first up at top of hour number 2. We got one in the books. So I'm going to take a very, very small commercial break, and I will be back. Andre, you're up next at the top of hour number 2. Hi, I'm Daniel Andrews, host of Dan Talks Football, and my award-winning NFL Weekly Picks video has been released. Now, don't watch it now. This is just a commercial break. I have to pee or something, but make sure you watch it at least twice. If you watch it 5 times, you win $1 million. Wait, I'm not allowed to say that? Oh, I can say it. I just can't mean it. Well, okay. Look, make sure you watch it. It's a great video, and I do mean that. Dan Talks Football has teamed up with BetUS. Do you want to do some sports betting? Check out BetUS and all the options for bonuses it gives you. I used a 20% bonus on my first $100 deposit and made it $120. You can check out the video in the description below. Use the promo code and take advantage of all the bonuses BetUS provides during football season. All right. 1 hour's in the books. Hour 2 is up, man. Hey, Andre, so you put in here, Dan, check my new comment. I forgot to include Cooper Kupp. Okay. Let's see here. I want to make sure I got this right. So you have Cooper Kupp. Okay. Andre, question. I got offered CMC for Jerome Ford in a 16 league PPR. My lineup when CMC is healthy would be Kyler, CMC, Bijan, Debo, Worthy, Pitts, Flex, Jalen Reed. Would you do it? And then in this situation, which one is Kupp? Which one is Kupp? Okay, so I got offer CMC, but I give up Jerome. Okay, you give up Jerome Ford and Kupps in a 16-team league PPR. My lineup when CMC is healthy would be Kyler, CMC, Bijan, Debo, Worthy, Pitts. Okay, the first question I would ask is that you get CMC. So right now your starting running backs are Bijan and Jerome Ford. And then you're doing Reed as your flex, and then Debo, Worthy, Pitts. Debo is going to be phased out of your offense, so that's a tough one. The one thing I like about giving up here's your problem. Here's your problem. CMC's probably not going to play next week. All right, he's probably not going to play next week against Minnesota. He's probably out. Jerome Ford is going to probably get 20 to 25 touches. And Cooper Kupp is going to get you a lot. He's going to get you a lot. I would not pull the trigger on this because, Cooper Kupp had 14 for over 110. I mean, that's a huge number, and you're going to get a lot out of Jerome Ford for the next 3 weeks. I would not make this move. CMC's out. He's listed as questionable right now. He's listed as questionable, but it looks like he's going to be out. So I would strongly suggest against making this move because he's probably not going to play week 2. There's no guarantee he's going to play week 3. You got 3 solid performances out of Jerome Ford, and Cooper Kupp 14 catches, 110 yards. I mean, Cooper Kupp, that's probably your number one scorer if you started Kupp last week. I'm looking at your team. Who outscored Cooper Kupp? So I would absolutely not do this because as of right now, you got Cooper Kupp who's 14 catches, 110 yards. I mean, he scored you a lot of points last week, and I'm drawing a blank here. I don't think he got in the end zone. I think he could score a touchdown this week, and you're also getting a lot of touches. I would not make this move. Perry, I'm picking the Bill. Oh, I forgot. Keep in mind it's a late game, so I'm not 100% sure, but yeah. I think this is going to be a high scoring game. Yeah, Andre, I agree, brother. At Denver Gator, I think Houston is too good this season. Diggs, Collins, there might be a running backs too much for the Bears. That Bears defense is really good. I just know that James Conner has been incredible, and Jordan Mason can feed off of that Minnesota defense. I trust both Goff and CJ, so it's tough. Yeah. I will say this. I think that they're phasing Connor. I think they're going to start using Trey Benson a lot more. I think Benson's the future as a running back. The one thing about Jordan Mason is I love the dude, but I think that you're kind of I think it was just kind of a flash. I don't think he's going for like 120 again. I really don't. I think he'll be held in check by Minnesota. I really do. Aiden's World, I have Singletary and Stevenson starting this week because CMC smart. I have Charbonnet on the bench. Should I start him? No. Keep an eye out on the injury report. I'm going to say this again because you started CMC last week. Keep an eye on the injury report because if Kenneth Walker, now I fully expect Kenneth Walker to play. If Kenneth Walker doesn't play, bench Singletary and start Charbonnet. But right now, keep Singletary and you need to keep Stevenson. As long as he's healthy, you need Stevenson. Yeah. And I did get an offer of a Debo for Rice swap. I would make that because Debo is they're going to phase Debo out of that offense once Brandon Ayuk. Another thing is that I wouldn't be at all surprised if Debo is one of these trade deadline type of guys, goes to another team, but Rashid Rice, I think is going to be the number one guy. And even though you're going to see Hollywood Brown come into that offense, I don't think it's going to take away from Rashid Rice. I would make this move, but until CMC comes back in the fold, Debo's going to get some carries. But I don't think he's going over 100 total yards. He could, but which one's more likely to get 100? It's more likely to be Rice. I would make that move. I would make that move. Before I get to any questions, I want to answer some of the questions I got from yesterday. I got asked, and I forgot to write down the names. Somebody asked, Kamara, A-Chain, Waddle, and Olave, who's running back and who is flex? You got to start Kamara in this situation. You absolutely got to start Kamara. Has a lot of he's getting more carries. I think they're going to use him more in the passing game. Keep in mind, you're going against Dallas, a really good defense. I think Kamara is a guy that, by the way, A-Chain questionable, so definitely start Kamara. Who at flex? I would go with Jalen Waddle in that situation. Somebody asked Gibbs, Stevenson, Dobbins, Chase, Collins, Waddle, Pittman, one flex. You go. I don't know if it's a PPR league or not, but yeah, I always like running backs more than I like receivers, especially in a PPR, because you get some extra credit if they get a lot of touches. I'm really high on Dobbins this week. You're going against a bad Panthers defense. Now, keep in mind, Gus Edwards is the starter, but Dobbins has so much more talent. It's ridiculous. So I would do that. Devin A-Chain, Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason start running back in a PPR league. I'm fully aware of Minnesota and San Francisco, two teams with good defenses. I like Aaron Jones in that situation. Minnesota's kind of tough at home. I know Aaron Jones is kind of new, but I like Aaron Jones in that situation. A-Chain, of course, may not even play. So I would go Aaron Jones in that situation. This was a question. I hope that this guy is listening. I hope that this guy is listening, because this was a great question, and I wish I had the names and kept this stuff, and I apologize. This is my first week of Afternoon Delight. Yesterday was my first fantasy football show. I'm making excuses, I know. And I'm going to get better. I mean, you have to understand, this is new for me. I'm going to get better. From now on, it'll be Fantasy Football Wednesdays and Thursdays, but at the top of the hour on Wednesday, I'm going to talk some college football. Denver Gator says that I have to get a little better before he comes on my show, but Denver Gator, I'm hoping down the line will join me for some college football. Keaton Talk Sports also is possibly going to start coming on. There's a chance he may be coming on Mondays, but he wants to do more breakdowns. He's not a fantasy football dude, but he had some good advice. So he wanted to talk college football as well. I may have him come on at the beginning. I have to work things out with him, but needless to say, I'm going to get some things. I'm going to get some things ironed out. Aiden's World's telling me to get it together, Dan. Yeah, I know. This is a question. I really hope you're listening. I have Najee Harris as my running back number 2. No real viable running back on bench. Should I sell high on Mixon and get 2 for 1 on depth? No. Do not sell high to get Mixon. He had that big game. He's not going to have a big game against the Bears. All right. He's not going to have a big game against the Bears. I think it was kind of a weird thing. I don't think Mixon is a guy that's going to be getting 150 every week for you. Najee Harris will for the rest of the year, Najee Harris will outperform Mixon. So do not give a lot to try to get Joe Mixon. And I could see somebody who has Joe Mixon try to sell him for something. That would be smart to sell Mixon. Do not buy high on Mixon. This is another one that these two questions, by the way, are no-brainers. So I hope you're listening. Do I trade Diggs for Montgomery, My running backs are Saquon Barkley, Mason, and Zamir. My wide receivers are Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore, Diggs, and Reed. It's a PPR 12-man league. This is a no-brainer. You absolutely make this move because Mason's not the long-term answer, and I'm not sold on Zamir, but you have Saquon Barkley. David Montgomery last week was at 17 carries, 92 yards. I firmly believe that Detroit should use Montgomery more and Gibbs less. A lot of people disagree with that, but I'm telling you right now, that's what I would do. And what happened in overtime? Would you see about, what was it, like 7 carries for Montgomery in overtime? Gibbs didn't even see the field, so it shows you like during crunch time what you're wanting. So I would 100% do this, and the reason why is that Wilson's a one. I like more, by the way, first round draft pick out of Washington. Roma Duze is also banged up. Those are your 2 starters, not Diggs. So that you definitely want to make that move. You definitely want to make that move. If that trade's still available for you, Diggs for Montgomery, absolutely make that move. You start him and Barkley, and then you start Wilson and DJ Moore. You absolutely make that move. And this is the final question that I missed, and I really wish I would have got this one because this is another no-brainer. Would you trade Jameson Williams for Brian Thomas Jr. and JSN? I'm going to let you know right now, I would trade Williams for Brian Thomas Jr. alone. But you get Jackson Smith and Jigba as a bonus, absolutely make this trade. Listen, would you trade Jameson Williams for Brian Thomas Jr.? I know what Perry's going to say. Perry's going to say, matter of fact, I think Perry responded and goes, yes. I'm going to tell you this right now. If you can get Brian Thomas Jr. for Jameson Williams and Jackson Smith and Jigba, you 100% hit accept immediately. Immediately. Do it. Denver Gator, what do you think of Watts? Cap for life. So I narrowed it down to 3 for my flex. Jeff Wilson, Shakir, or Coleman. Ooh. God. I've already gone on record and said I think Coleman's due for a touchdown. I've been so here's the drill, Jeff Wilson. Here's the deal, Jeff Wilson. A-Chain is questionable. It's a game time decision. Even if he does play, Wilson's going to be the guy to get the bulk of the carries. I would go with Wilson. And I really think this is going to be the game where Wilson gets about 20 touches, no matter what. I really, really believe that Wilson's going to get about 20 touches. I think that you're going to get some really good value out of Jeff Wilson. I'm going to be very clear. I've liked Shakir. I've always liked him. I think it's a solid player. Keon Coleman, I think, is going to get a touchdown tonight. I want to be very clear about that. I think Keon Coleman's going to score tonight. Just a hunch. Wilson's probably going to get 20 touches tonight. And here's the thing, Wilson's got big playability. The offense is designed for running backs to put up big points. So and by the way, it's a game time decision, so I don't know how much of a notice you're going to get, but if A-Chain doesn't play, then it's a no-brainer. It's Wilson. If A-Chain plays, Wilson, instead of maybe getting 20 to 25, will get 15 to 20 touches. But, I mean, you're still getting just touches. Wilson's probably going to get more than Shakir and Coleman put together. That said, I think Coleman's going to score tonight. So you have some good options here, brother. You have some good options here, brother. I would go with Wilson. But I keep an eye out on A-Chain. I honestly don't think he's going to play. But do you think Rice has another 100-yard game? I think Rice has 1 TD at a minimum. Rice is going to go over 100 a couple times this year. I really believe that. I said going into the season, I think Hollywood Brown and Rice are going to have over 1,000. I think Worthy's going to be in that 500 to 700 range, and Kelsey probably somewhere between 700 and 900. And by the way, I mean, 3 catches, 37 yards. It wouldn't also surprise me if Kelsey misses a game or two this year. So do I think Rice will have another 100-yard game? Absolutely. I don't know what he's going to do against the Bengals, but Rice is, I think, a legit number. I was going to say, it depends on how big of a league you're in. He's a low-end 1. I think he's a solid 2, but Rashee Rice is the guy that's going to put over 1,000, probably anywhere between 6 to 9 touchdowns. Start Goff, Tua, or Fields? Okay, Aziz Smitty, what a great question. Goff's at home against Tampa. I fully expect Goff to put up some points. Tua's at home against Buffalo, who gave up 29 to Arizona. Fields is going against a Denver defense that didn't look very good, and I do think Fields is going to get some. I think I'm kind of expecting some improvement from Fields, and depending on what kind of a bonus you get for rushing, because I think Fields is going to go over 50 rushing yards. Tua, of course, had 339, but over 100. It was 141 of that was on 2 plays. I would go with Goff, and I'll tell you why. At home, he's going to do really well. I like Tampa's defense, but I fully expect him to put up some yards. I think out of the 3, Goff's most likely to get over 200 yards passing. With Tua, he may get more passing yards. I think to be honest with you, Wilson more likely to score a touchdown. Unless there's a huge bonus for rushing yards, you kind of it's really a 2-person conversation unless there's a huge bonus for rushing yards, because I do think Fields will have over 50 yards rushing. I do think Fields will throw for a touchdown or run for a touchdown. So I think Fields will get a touchdown. I think he's going to have over 50 yards rushing. I could easily see him going under. It would not surprise me if Fields has here's what I'm projecting for Fields. 170 yards passing, 50 to 60 yards rushing, and a touchdown passing or rushing. Tua, probably over 200 yards passing. That's fair. Probably a touchdown. Goff definitely over 200 yards and probably at least 1 touchdown. It's really between Goff and Tua. I would go with Goff. I know Goff and Tua are at home. That's a big factor. But I think Tampa Bay might have a better defense than Buffalo. That's another thing to think about. But I think Goff would be the move here. Depending on the rest of your team looks, if a lot of times you have a projection, okay? If your team's projected to lose and you need to throw a Hail Mary, or you're not confident in this week, Tua's the more likely to be like a boom or bust. Because I could see Tua 200 yards and a touchdown. I could also see Tua 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Goff, on the other hand, is more likely to get you that consistency. Out of the 3, Goff would be the guy. I almost guarantee you to get that 15 to 20 points. If you're projected to win, go with Goff, because I think you're going to get steady performance out of Goff. With Tua, you get more of a variance. And then if you're in a league where you get bonus for rushing yards, Fields obviously is going to have the most rushing yards. I think Fields is a guy that might low key have a good game. I would go with Goff in this situation. With Brown back, do you think Mahomes can get the ball to Brown, Rice, and Worthy evenly? No. Rice will be 1, Brown will be 2, and Worthy will be 3. Worthy will be the guy to get like 2 to 3. Will be like, probably 2 to 5 touches. I think Hollywood Brown will get more involved than Worthy, but it'll go Rice and then Brown, and then Worthy will be the guy that doesn't get that much. So here's a drill. I am not in any fantasy football leagues this year. This guy is a buddy of mine. He's in a couple different leagues. I've been helping him out. I've been helping some other people out with their fantasy football leagues. But this year I am not playing on any fantasy football league. So Connor, full PPR, Jerome Ford or Christian Kirk. I would go with Ford, and until Nick Chubb comes back, Ford's going to get about 20 touches. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is really taking over. You got a lot of different weapons in Jacksonville. I'm a huge Christian Kirk fan. It wouldn't surprise me if Christian Kirk has 6 catches, 80 yards, and a touchdown. Keep in mind, you're going against the Browns. You're going against a really, really, really good defense. Jacksonville gave up some yards, but a lot of it was on big plays. I like Ford a lot. Now, keep in mind, as soon as Nick Chubb goes back, Ford's probably you're going to lose about 70% of your touches. I mean, you're going to lose Jerome. It's not going to be Chubb and Ford. It's going to be Chubb. Right now, it's just Ford. So, Nick Chubb's out till week 4, but once Chubb comes back, by the way, he may not come back week 5. But in this situation, you want to start Ford until Nick Chubb comes back. The second Nick Chubb comes back, trade, get rid of, do whatever, but until Chubb comes back, you go with Ford. Oh yeah. When I saw that comment, I think you responded to it in the chat, Perry. But if you can get Jackson, by the way, I'm a huge fan of Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is a guy that if it's not this year, next year may blow up. But yeah, Jameson Williams for Brian Thomas Jr. and you get Jackson Smith and Jigba, absolutely. As a Lions fan, David Montgomery's a beast from Jen John. Yeah, I loved when they got into overtime and they just like, hey, Montgomery, put the team on your back, run behind that great offensive line. I thought that was genius. Youngstar 210. Hey Dan, should I trade Calvin Ridley for Michael Pittman? Ooh. All right, so it's kind of funny because you have 2 receivers that I think are in bad situations, but I would not make this move, and the reason why I say that is that I know Ridley was barely used in last week's game. I understand that. Here's a drill. DeAndre Hopkins is going to leave either at the trade deadline or at the end of the year. That's a given. That he's not staying there. Ridley signed a big time deal to stay there. They're going to get him involved in that offense. with Pittman, I know he signed a 3-year deal. I think he signed a 3-year, $75 or $80 million deal. I get that. That was before they signed Adonai Mitchell, who they are very, 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 very high on. They got Josh Downs, who they also like. Alex Pierce had a big week, but your quarterback went 9 for 19 last week, and people are gushing over the highlights, but he completed 9 passes. So do you want a receiver when his quarterback's completing 9 passes in a game? Is this a PPR league? Now keep in mind, Denver Gator, don't get mad. I'm not sold on Will Levis. I'm not going to tell you Will Levis is the answer. I'm not going to be that guy. And but I would not make this trade because you have so many questions. By the way, I fully expect Jonathan Taylor to just have a big game against Green Bay. It would not surprise me if Pittman has like 3 catches for 40 yards, and then Ridley, I don't expect him to have a huge game against the Jets, but I think Ridley will have a much better performance. And then going forward, I think Ridley's going to be used a lot more than Pittman. Because Pittman was a deal like they really I'll be honest with you, I don't think the Colts really wanted to pay Pittman. That was the reason why they drafted Alex Pierce a couple of years ago. That's why they drafted Josh Downs last year. That's why they drafted Adonai Mitchell this year. Now, keep in mind, Adonai Mitchell should have gone in the first round, and the Colts got him. I think it was at pick 53 or something. That was the guy I wanted Kansas City to draft instead of Worthy. Now, after Worthy's 2-touchdown performance, I look like a dipshit, but don't make this move. Keep Ridley. That Tennessee team's going to be a disaster. I'm telling you this right now. It's going to be a disaster. But Ridley will outperform Pittman. I think Watt is incredible. He may get 1 or 2, but Nix is notorious for not taking a lot of sacks, gets the ball out quick, and he's smart. Russell and Fields hold on the ball way too long. Yeah, Watt, it would not surprise me if Watt gets a sack. Okay, let's be very clear. But what they did last week is that they threw the ball a lot more than I thought they would. But what they're doing is this is pure speculation, okay? I think that what they're doing is that they're not holding anything back from Nix. I think they're saying, hey, get used to throwing the ball 40 to 50 times a game. And, at first, just take what defense gives you. Just think. But as time goes on, he's going to throw the ball more and more downfield. Against Pittsburgh, he's going to throw the ball 40 to 50 times. I think he was 26 out of 42 last week. It was like 125 or something ridiculous. But that's by design. I firmly believe that what the Denver Broncos are doing is they're telling Bo Nix, listen, every single game, you're going to throw the ball at least 40 times. Get used to it. And I think for the first couple of weeks of the season, it's just going to be, 2.5 seconds, ball's already out. Down the line, he'll go downfield more. But yeah, it's get the ball out fast, get the ball out often. I don't know what an attempts record is for a rookie quarterback, but I fully expect Bo Nix to break it. He's going to throw the ball over 600 times this year, and I don't know if any rookie quarterback's ever done that. But yeah. At Denver Gator, you think it's going to be a low-scoring game? Do you think Denver can shut down Fields? That's a great question. I would be nice if we get a few hurries and sacks on Fields, contain him on the run and protect the edges. He's basically a younger Russell. Soon I think our defense will step up, scared of the Steelers defense. Very low scoring. I think the overall, if I remember right, Denver Gator, I'm pulling it up right now. The over under is 36. It's really, really, really low. I'm pulling it up right now. I'm going to pull up the over under right now. If I remember, though, I think it's 36. It's a very low over under. I didn't check the weather report there in Denver, but you do have possible issue of weather. I believe it's 36. 36 and a half. 36 and a half. And I thought it was 3, but it's now 2.5. I have to go back and look at my own video. One of the reasons why I make the videos, I release them on Tuesday, is because one of the reasons I release I forgot to put this up there, but one of the reasons I do my picks video out on Tuesday is I want to keep track of the line during the week. I want to see what people are doing. As a general rule of thumb, what the betting public does. Now, keep in mind, sometimes you got some people that are making bet. Like, I'm going to level with you. I don't think this is a smart bet at all. There's a lot of action on Detroit. I went on the Luke G show on Monday, just, as a guest. I popped in for a few minutes and I asked him, I said, this is a big number. And I think the casual sports fan, especially the casual Lions fan, doesn't realize what a big number 7 is, especially against a team that went to the playoffs last year in Tampa Bay and won a playoff game. I think out of all the teams in the NFL, I think the team people are most overlooking is Tampa Bay. And the reason why I say this is that you have a good defense with 2 really good receivers and a pretty good quarterback. Do I think Baker Mayfield's elite? Absolutely not. Do I think he's pretty good? Yeah. And you combine that with 2 really good receivers in Godwin and Evans, and then you have a good defense? Yeah. So Detroit being a 7-point favorite at home, I'm like, that's a big number. I asked Luke G, he's like, oh yeah, we're going to cover. There was no hesitation whatsoever. Now, I didn't want to press because, it's his show. He doesn't do sports betting, by the way. I do. And I'm telling you right now, 7's a huge number. Do I think Detroit wins that game? Sure. Do I think they can cover 7? But now it's gone from 7 to 8. If you don't do sports betting, 1 full point during the week is a lot of money. It's a lot of money going in that direction. And I really like Tampa Bay to cover 8 points. I really like Tampa Bay to cover 8 points. I think a lot of people are really underestimating the Bucs. A lot of people are underestimating the Bucs. But one of the reasons why I get my my picks video out is because I want to keep track. But if I remember correctly, I think Pittsburgh opened up as a 3. I might be wrong on that. Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those. I personally think it's going to be one of these games, Barry. If you can get Alex Pierce cheap, take a flyer on him. If you can get him, I liked Alex Pierce, and I really liked him coming out of Cincinnati. Keep in mind, Jelani Woods is out. But one thing is that I advise you about taking any Colts receiver is that your quarterback only completed 9 passes last week. So if you're in a PPR league, I would strongly recommend you get them really cheap and don't start them, at least not yet. 17-15 Steelers are flip-flop score. Denver wins. That's kind of what I'm seeing. That's kind of what I'm seeing, Denver Gator. That's kind of what I'm seeing. Will Levis is Do not piss off Denver Gator. Fun fact, Denver Gator now puts mayonnaise in his coffee, which is beyond disgusting, by the way. Perry asks, do you think Burrow can turn it around, or the loss of Chase is too much of a loss for Burrow and the Bengals offense to overcome? Do I think Burrow can turn it around? Yeah. I also really, really, really expect Burrow to sign with the Bengals. Like, this is going to get worked out. Burrow's going to be at the Bengals, okay? T. Higgins, probably not, but Burrow's going to be at the Bengals. Do I expect the Bengals to beat Kansas City? No. Am I a Chiefs fan? Yes. Is that bias factoring into it? Yes. But from a logic standpoint, Kansas City has a few days extra. They are at home. And the Bengals have won at Arrowhead before. This is not a game that Kansas City is going to overlook. There could be a game down the line that Kansas City overlooks. It's not going to be Cincinnati. It's really not going to be Cincinnati. Bengals are probably going to start 0-2. I mean, they're a 6-point dog. Big number. I firmly expect them to turn it around. Absolutely. Absolutely. I also believe that Jamar Chase will be signed. This is going to work out. This is going to work out for the Bengals. And if they don't, it's beyond stupid. It's beyond stupid because they made some moves. They matter of fact, Joe Mixon in Houston, part of that move was cutting some salary cap so they can sign Chase. I just think that they were not expecting. If I remember right, they offered Chase, it was like 4 years, $140 million. Chase said no. So I just think that they're not really handling. I don't think they're handling this the right way, and they should have locked this down already. But Chase will be signed. This will work out. Za215 start sit question. Would you in a flex in a SF full PPR league? I'm drawing a blank. SF. Okay, so full PPR league, Tank Dell, Worthy, McConkey, or Zach Moss. I would definitely sit Worthy. The Chiefs have a good defense. They do have a good defense, but Zach Moss is going to be the bell cow guy. You're probably going to get 20 touches out of Moss, so I would go with him. I know they like McConkey and everything, but and I know Carolina doesn't have a good defense, but I'm still not sold. Tank Dell is interesting. And the reason why is I'm a huge Dell fan. You're going against Chicago, a team that has a really good defense, but after Mixon's 30 carries, I'm kind of thinking it's going to open some things up. So, all right. If you have to start one of these four, you want to start Moss. Let me do this. Here's what I would do in this order. Moss would be 1, Dell would be 2, McConkey would be 3, Worthy would be 4. That's how I would do it. More than likely, you have one flex. I would definitely start Moss, and the reason why is I think he's going to get about 20 touches. So, the Titans need a quarterback in this draft. Yeah, Levis is not the answer. For those of you who don't know, drawing a blank on the guy's name, they brought over the Bengals offensive coordinator from Cincinnati to take over as the coach of the Tennessee Titans. And I thought this was a terrible move. And the reason why is not because I'm anti-Will Levis. It's just Levis is that vertical downfield passer. He's not the guy that's going to go back. Like, for example, I was just talking about Bo Nix. Bo Nix in Denver is that guy who can go back and just think. And that's what they're doing already. Week 1, 42 passes. Like that's going to go up. And that's what they're going to keep on doing, right? Will Levis has never been that dude. He wasn't that dude at Kentucky. He was that dude at Kentucky that has that arm. It's like, wait a minute, that out route, there's not 12 quarterbacks in the NFL that can make that route, that can make that throw. And you saw that a couple times a game, but you never saw Will Levis at Kentucky just go back and, oh no, we have to disrupt Levis from throwing the ball 50, 60 times a game. Nobody did that. And nobody's doing that in the NFL. The thing is that what you fear about Will Levis is that he's got a really good arm. I mean, he's got a powerful, big-time arm, but he's never been the guy that goes back there. If you watch the Bengals, Joe Burrow just goes back there, ding, 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 ding. Will Levis doesn't do that. So when they hired him as the head coach, I instantly thought, number one, I'm also a huge Vrabel fan, but this is like putting a square peg in a round hole. And then going into training camp, I was hearing Will Levis go, well, yeah, I'm making some adjustments on my footwork so I can be more accurate. That's not what you want to hear. You want to hear, well, I'm trying to dissect the offense, not I'm learning how to set my feet. You don't want to hear that shit. So, yeah, they're going to move on. They're going to move on from Levis. They already got rid of Malik Willis for almost nothing, and they're going to do the same thing because keep in mind this head coach is not the one who wanted Levis. It obviously wasn't going to work. It seemed really obvious to me, but yeah, you're going to see. A matter of fact, it wouldn't surprise me if it's Callahan, right? Brian Callahan. It wouldn't surprise me if he's gone and they bring in somebody else. You know, Ben Johnson, for example, he's been a popular name. But by the way, this is pure sarcasm by Denver Gator. He loves Will Levis. Denver Gator says, I really hope those in the chat understand the extreme sarcasm of Dan when he talks about my fandom. I think the Lions and Bucks games could go either way. The keys to the game is us running the ball with David Montgomery. I really do. Yeah, Perry. I think this is going to be a close game. When I asked Luke G, hey, are you going to, I would have lost my mind if Luke G said, no, Tampa Bay is going to come into Ford Field and win. I knew he wouldn't say that. But I was really surprised, and I shouldn't have been. When I said, are they going to cover 7? Oh, yeah, we're going to win by double digits. As a longtime Chiefs fan, like Chiefs Kingdom completely changed once Patrick Mahomes took over. And they did another transformation with Taylor's. By the way, like I think the Taylor Swift Travis Kelce thing's cute. I mean, do I think it's going to last? No, but I think it's cute. I think it's fun. Taylor, please quit talking about politics. But it's fun. It's cute, and but the fan base has changed. I'm seeing the Lions fan base change. And I get it. You're a longtime loser. Now you're an NFC championship game. You're in the NFC championship game. You're the favorite to win the division. You're one of the favorites to win the NFC. I get it. To sit here and say, oh yeah, we're winning games with double digits against playoff teams. It's like, ooh, really? Okay. This is going to be a fun game. This is going to be a very, very fun game. So being on the West Coast here, I'm obviously going to I haven't signed up for Sunday Ticket yet and the reason why is it looks like they're going to play the Chiefs Bengals game out here. So I don't have to I may get Sunday Ticket anyway, but I mean, so I can't watch Lions Bucks, which if I get Sunday Ticket, I'll probably watch Lions Bucks, but I'll probably watch Raiders Ravens since I'm in here and I'm going to be cheap and not get Sunday Ticket because the afternoon game is going to be Cincinnati, Kansas City. They're not going to play Rams Cardinals because I'm in Vegas. It's an AFC town. I was wondering if it was going to be Broncos Steelers, but probably not. If the Bengals can't sign Chase, should they trade him at the trade deadline? If they do trade him, will they get a lot of draft capital for him? Absolutely. Absolutely, they'll get a lot if they trade him. I do not expect I fully expect the Bengals to sign Chase soon. It's going to happen. Let's say it can't happen. You remember the Chiefs got it was like 2 number ones for Tyreek Hill. You're going to get something like that. By the way, if I'm the New England Patriots, would I give up an arm and a leg for Jamar Chase? Absolutely, I would. I really would. And the reason why I would give up multiple number ones for Jamar Chase is because you don't have that guy. But you got the 3rd overall pick in Drake May. Now you add Jamar Chase. Your defense is good. You're looking at making the playoffs 2025 to however long you have these guys together. Now that's going under the assumption that Drake May is the guy. But if I'm the New England Patriots, I would make this move in a heartbeat. I would get my number 1 receiver, and I would give up this year's number 1. I would give up next year's number 1. And then because you're getting an extra 3rd round pick with the Judon trade, I would focus on building the offensive line through the draft, free agency, and you're set. I mean, you're set. But that said, I fully expect Chase to stay with the Bengals. If I'm the New England Patriots, would I give up a couple number 1s for Jamar Chase? Absolutely. Absolutely. Camden Christensen, I think you had one of those questions that I missed yesterday. I forgot to put the names in the questions. I just wrote the questions down, but all right. So hopefully I got that. Starting Gibbs, Dobbins, Chase, Nico, and Waddle. Could I use DK, Waddle, and Ramondre to upgrade somehow? All right. So let me see here. I'll be honest. I wouldn't use. So you're starting Waddle. Okay, here's what I would do. Here's what I would do. I would switch Ramondre with Gibbs. And if you're a Lions fan, you're gonna be like, no. But the thing is, when I watched last week's, by the way, Gibbs has been a little banged up. I would switch Ramondre and Gibbs, even though I think Gibbs could have a big game against Tampa Bay. I think Stevenson's going to have a better game against Seattle. I'm not sold on the Seahawks defense. I know you got brand new defensive coordinator. They weren't good last year. Yeah, they did good against a rookie quarterback making his first NFL start on the road. Yeah, great. I would bench Gibbs and I would start Ramondre. Now, I like the rest of it. I'll be honest with you. If you didn't touch your lineup, I wouldn't hate it, but I'm telling you right now, if you have Ramondre Stevenson on the bench, I would start him over Gibbs. And the reason why is Ramondre Stevenson's going to get at least 10 more touches this week, a minimum of 10 more touches. So, I would bench Gibbs. I would start Ramondre. That's what I would do. Dobbins, I think your team's really good. I think Chase could have a big game. Chase loves playing against Kansas City. Nico Collins, I'm a huge fan of. I think the Bears defense is really, really, really good. Drawing a blank on who's Seattle. Seattle plays the Patriots. I wouldn't bank on DK. I like Waddle to have a good game too. Ramondre Stevenson, find a way to get him in your lineup though. Don't bench Dobbins as long as Dobbins is healthy. Keep him in the lineup. Bench Gibbs, put Ramondre in there, and I'm going to tell you this right now. Even if Gibbs has a good game, I promise you Ramondre is going to have at least 10 more touches. So the Bengals on offense took a receiver and Mims, and those guys are risk reward. There are two defensive tackles. Now, Jenkins, the tackle out of Michigan, not really a risk, but he's been banged up. When he gets healthy, I think things are really going to start clicking for that defensive line. Miles Murphy's out for the first couple of weeks. When he comes back, he's going to be dangerous. So, yeah, if Stevenson's healthy, got to stay with him. Stay with him. Double R. Hey, chat. Hey, Dan, I watched your picks video with the Colts winning and even being favored in Green Bay. What are the keys to the Colts victory? This is very simple. Jonathan Taylor. Green Bay really struggled against the run last week. You have a new defensive coordinator coming back from the college ranks. You're switching. It's outdated, but you're switching from a 3-4 to a 4-3. Devondre Campbell, I completely forgot about him signing with the 49ers, but what you did is that you're benching him, second-round pick Adrian Cooper, guy I love out Texas A&M. He's getting playing time. You got him with that other inside linebacker in Green Bay. I love both those guys. Long term, that inside linebacker duo is going to be really good. And they got some really good pieces on that front seven, but it's a complete work in progress. The key to the Colts victory is that if I'm the Colts, Jonathan Taylor, I think it was 15 carries, 45 yards, but he did score. I think Jonathan Taylor, huge game this week if you have Jonathan Taylor start. But I think the running game, Anthony Richardson had some nice runs. I'm not a fan of a quarterback running, but I think Anthony Richardson, by the way, don't put your shoulder down, young man. Anthony Richardson, I understand that you outweigh some of those corners by like 40, 50 pounds. Slide, stay healthy, live to play another day. But I think running the game is got to be key because what you want to do is this is going to sound kind of funny, but what you want to do is you have Malik Willis making his first start for Green Bay. He doesn't know the whole playbook. He's not going to be ready. Jordan Love, you gave him all that money. You kind of built the team around him. So what you really want to do if you're the Colts is you want to keep him on the bench and you want to limit his possessions because he's going to have one or two garbage possessions. He's going to have at least one or two 3-and-outs. He's been turnover prone in the past. So if I'm playing against Green Bay, I want to keep Green Bay limited to 7 to 9 drives because I know I'm going to have probably a turn. I'm thinking to myself, I can get a turnover, and I know for a fact I'm getting one or two 3-and-outs. That's what I'm thinking. So I want to limit the possessions. I want to keep them on the sideline as long as I possibly can. So the key is very simple. The Colts want to run the ball, control the clock. In a perfect situation, you want to get in a situation where you can get a double-digit lead and then put a lot of pressure, but ultimately run the ball. Made it very simple. Yeah, I like the Colts to run ball. Rhino's Roundtable is a Colts fan. So I think Green Bay's in trouble without Love. I think they are too. Malik Willis is a guy that's raw. I like the fact that Green Bay picked him up for almost nothing. He's going to get the start, so it's worth it already. It's good that you got a guy like that. All you have to do though, but here's the thing: they were wanting him to be a backup. He wasn't meant to play, and as long as Love's out, Green Bay is in trouble. I mean, they're already 0-1, and I think the Colts are a pretty good team. So, and by the way, that's going to be a fun game. If you're a fantasy football owner and you have Jonathan Taylor, make sure you're starting it. Mike Charles, 10-team PPR. Trade CMC, Terry, Njoku for Pacheco and Marv. I have Brees, keeper, Puka on IR, Godwin, JSN, Olave, and Pitts. Trade for Pacheco and Marv. Okay, so well first off, I know Harrison went 1 for 4. He's going to get back up. The problem that you have with Pacheco is he's always going to miss a handful of games. I love the fact that you got Brees. I mean, he's going to be your main guy. I mean, I get why you want to get rid of CMC. I get that. I would not make this move, and I'll tell you why. McLaurin's a solid number 2. I'm looking at your receivers though. I like Godwin. I like Olave and then Puka. I understand why you would want to move McLaurin. I also understand that you want to get that second running back. I gotta ask though, do you have another running back? Because I'm looking, you have Brees, you have CMC. Who's your third running back? Because if you don't have a third running back, I get it, but Pacheco will get banged up sometime this year. Mike, hang on for one moment here. We're at the top of hour number 3. I'm going to take a quick commercial break. I'm going to dive into this a little more. I'm going to take a very, very fast commercial break, and I will be right back. Hi, I'm Daniel Andrews, host of Dan Talks Football, and my award-winning NFL Weekly Picks video has been released. Now, don't watch it now. This is just a commercial break. I have to pee or something, but make sure you watch it at least twice. If you watch it 5 times, you win $1 million. Wait, I'm not allowed to say that? Oh, I can say it. I just can't mean it. Well, okay. Look, make sure you watch it. It's a great video, and I do mean that. Dan Talks Football has teamed up with BetUS. Do you want to do some sports betting? Check out BetUS and all the options for bonuses it gives you. I used a 20% bonus on my first $100 deposit and made it $120. You can check out the video in the description below. Use the promo code and take advantage of all the bonuses BetUS provides during football season. All right, I'm back. We're at the last hour here. A great show so far. Thank you so much for the comments. By the way, if I don't answer your question, drop a comment in the video on YouTube. As soon as I'm done watching Thursday Night Football, I'll respond on a written comment. I'll type it out for you. You can also DM me on social media, or if you want to go really old school, Dan Talks Football at yahoo.com. I will respond to every email, DM, or comment tonight after I get done watching Thursday Night Football. So depending on where you're at in the country, it'll probably be Friday morning, but it'll be before Friday's show. And of course, Friday, I will answer any and all questions on Fantasy Football Friday, but Friday is going to be my kind of preview show, kind of go over everything. Of course, I'm going to recap Thursday Night Football, which is going to be a great show. Okay, Mike, the one thing I want to ask is that do you have another running back? Because what I'm looking at, right, just from what I'm seeing here, you have some really good receivers. You know, Marvin Harrison didn't do anything for you. I expect him to improve. I'm also looking at you're probably going Godwin and Olave. At least that's what I would do. Pitts could have a good game for you. So, you know, you got those guys there. I get why, you know, Puka, when he comes back, you're going to start him. Makes sense. Jackson Smith and Jigba right now, not a starter. But one thing is that I would really suggest holding on to him. I like Terry McLaurin because I think his production is going to go up. But what I'm looking at is, do you have another running back? Because if you don't, the one thing about Pacheco is he will get some points for you, but it's going to be really up and down. And another thing about Pacheco is he's going to every single season he's played in, he's missed about 4 games. You can count on that. Where CMC, when he comes back, I mean, he's going to win you a lot. So I don't like this move, but you do have a stud in Brees. And if you don't have a backup, man, God, if you don't have a backup running back, I get why you want to do this. One thing about Pacheco is he will always get you points. They're going to use him a little more in the passing game, but usually on obvious passing downs, the Chiefs like to use a third down back. I would not make this move, but from what you're showing me, do you even have a running back number 2? Just out of curiosity. Off the top of my head, don't make this move, because when CMC comes back, he's going to get a lot of points for you. And McLaurin could be a guy that you really, really, really want to hold on to. I mean, you really, really, really want to hold on to. And Njoku is a guy that I know he didn't do much last week. This is starting caliber tight end. So, I mean, you know, if you have CMC, Terry, and Njoku, and you want to get Pacheco and Marvin Harrison Jr., I would not recommend this. That said, who is your running back number 2? Do you have one? Because if you have to start nobody, I'm assuming you got somebody. You could clarify that, but no, I don't like that move. So if A-Chain plays limited, would you start Aaron Jones versus the 49er, Jeff Wilson, or Jalen Wright? Also have Singletary and Hilbert. Definitely start Jeff Wilson. I think he's going to have 20 touches tonight. You also have Singletary and Hubbard. I've always liked Singletary. The Giants' offense is just terrible, but the one thing I will say is Washington's defense isn't very good. So I think Singletary may actually not be bad for you. Would I start Aaron Jones versus the Niners? Okay, so here's my options. Aaron Jones, Wilson, or Wright. Out of those 3, you definitely want to go with Wilson. Definitely want to go with Wilson. I will say this. Aaron Jones and Singletary is a tough one. I would probably go between those 2. I might maybe go with Singletary by hair. I like Aaron Jones, though. I like Aaron Jones. Baker is on this game. Godwin and Mike Evans are healthy. I think the Lions are not being realistic enough with the Lions. I think Lions fans are not being realistic enough with the Lions this season. We have a tough season, a lot of good team. Yeah, if you just think that you're gonna beat Tampa Bay by double digits and you're not in for a dogfight, I don't know what to tell you. That's a good team, and I mean, you know, 8's a big number. I really like Tampa Bay to cover. I wouldn't be The NFL is about matchups. And the one thing people got to realize going into last year, Baker was not guaranteed to be the starter. He had to earn that job. He's now the number one dude. I know you got a new offensive coordinator, but he's now part of the team. They signed him. Kyle Trask was a second round pick. I mean, there was talk that, we know Baker is an elite dude, but what do you got out of Kyle Trask? And Baker Mayfield won the job. He's now the number one guy. There's improvement with that Bucs offense. Any game that Todd Bowles gets over 30 in is probably a win. So, and I look at matchups. I got a young secondary, a rookie corner against Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Here's the deal. The NFL is all about the Lions match up much better with the Rams than they do the Bucs. The line should not be 8. I'm telling you this right now, Perry. If you're a Lions fan, I would be really worried about this game. This is going to be a fun game. I'm here in Vegas. Unless I buy Sunday ticket, I'm probably going to watch Raiders Ravens. Good game to watch. I mean, good game to watch. But I really would want to watch. If I get Sunday ticket, I'm watching Lions Bucs. So. God, Perry's on fire. And by the way, Denver Gator sent me that he's on fire soundbite. I have to figure. By the way, even if I could sign it, I think it's a copyright infringement. So yesterday for 9/11, I made a clip, and I had it playing to the national anthem, and YouTube said it was a copyright infringement. I kept the video on my YouTube channel, but I can't get paid for it. It would demonetize this stream. Now, keep in mind, I'm not making like thousands of dollars on the live stream. I'm just making a few pennies, but I'm not trying to post multiple things that are being demonetized. So. But Perry, you're right, man. The Bengals really dropped the ball here. But I think they'll get it done. Yeah. Perry's just on fire. The Bengals should have drafted Perry's been talking about Brian Thomas Jr. being the best receiver in this draft since March. Keaton from Keaton Talk Sports. I'm gonna try to get Keaton on. I'm hoping I can get Keaton to come on quite a bit in the future. I'm trying to see if I can talk Keaton Talk Sports to come on Monday, and we can kind of review some of the games together. Really, really, really excited about that. Keaton came on yesterday. Did a fantastic job, and I felt terrible because if you ever come on my show, I usually try to give you an outline of what I'm going to ask. I try not to blindside any of my guests, and I blindsided Keaton with a bunch of fantasy football stuff, which he had no idea, and he just nailed it. Did a fantastic job. So Keaton, thank you so much for gracing us today, and again, thank you so much for doing a great job yesterday. A+ dude, and by the way, check out Keaton Talk Sports. Great YouTube channel, and hopefully I can get him to come on this show much more often. Keaton says, "What's up, Dan? Sup, chat? Do you think if the Jets lose to the Titans and fall 0-2, is it time for the Jets fans to hit the panic button?" I'm going to tell you something. If they lose to the Jets, or if they lose to the Titans, which I think it's going to be a terrible, terrible team, I would be worried. But no, it's not time to go panic. Even though when you're 0-2, it's a bad thing. It's not time to hit the panic button. But you can't start 0-3. And the worst part is either Miami or Buffalo is going to be 2-0. It's not time to hit the panic button, but let's be very clear. Keaton is a New England fan. He knows this. Jets fans will hit the panic button if they go 0-2. Should they? No. Even though you're down by 2 games, it's a 17-game season. If you lose to the Titans, and I think that's going to be a bad team, I would be very worried. But is it time to hit the panic button after an 0-2 start? No, because there's a lot of talent on that team, and it's only 2 games. Will Jets fans hit the panic button if they go 0-2? 150%. Great question, Keaton. Miggy, would I start Goddard or Kincaid? Ooh, what a great question. What a great question. Dallas Goddard. Okay, so just here's the deal. When I play Monday Night Football, when I play fantasy, I love players on Monday night. I love players on Monday night. Atlanta did a good job against Pittsburgh, but let's be honest. Pittsburgh's offense and Philly's offense, night and day. I love Dallas Goddard. I've always had I have a huge man crush on Dalton Kincaid. I have a huge man crush. I don't think you're wrong either way. As somebody who plays fantasy football, though, like having a guy on Monday is a lot of fun. I don't think you can go wrong either way. My answer is Kincaid because I think Kincaid's got a little more potential. He's got a little more potential. Also, I know Philly's defense gave up 29 to Green Bay. I'm sorry. I know that I know Atlanta. Here's the deal. Atlanta is a pretty good defense. All right. Look, short. Talking is hard. I really don't think you can go wrong either way. I would start Kincaid like this much. And the reason why I think Kincaid has more potential, he's more of a higher option on the Bills offense. I mean, Josh Allen's going to run the ball, but he's going to throw the ball. Cook's going to get his touches. I think Keon Coleman's due for a touchdown. Shakir's a guy that's coming up, but Kincaid has a legitimate chance to be like the number one guy in that offense. Dallas Goddard's never going to be the number one guy. I mean, look what you got. You got A.J. Brown. He's number one receiver. Who's the number 2 receiver on that team? You have well, to be honest with you, I think Barkley might have the second most receptions. Devontae Smith was the name I was trying to think about, but Devontae Smith. And then Goddard's, 3, 4. Remember they traded for Jahan Dotson. So I would go Kincaid. That said, when I play fantasy football, I love having people on Monday. Play. It's fun. But I would go with Kincaid. I don't think you're wrong either way, but I would go with Kincaid. At Keaton, is there a time to start if the Jets are 0-5 or 1-4 and the Jets in trouble? That's awesome. Clap nuts! What a great name! Hey, full PPR, would you trade David Montgomery and Godwin for Archain? Absolutely not. My other wide receivers are Justin Jefferson. Ooh, Drake London, Malik Neighbors, Jamison Williams. No. No, I get why, because Justin Jefferson's your number one guy, and you're like, well, I mean, depending on matchups, I can go with London, Neighbors, or Williams. I think I like Godwin way too much, and I think Montgomery's a much better option than A-Chain. Number one, you have a loaded running back room in Miami. Number two, A-Chain is very, very, very injury prone. You're getting much more consistency with a guy like Montgomery. And here's the deal. You look at your receivers, man. You got some really good players, but you got Justin Jefferson. That's your guy. So when you get a stud like Justin Jefferson, especially in a full PPR league, you want to get guys that are consistent. You don't want a lot of variance. So you switch over to baseball talk. You have your home run hitter in Justin Jefferson. You want a bunch of guys that can get on base. You want a bunch of guys hitting singles. You don't want the guy that, is going to strike out, 5 or 6 times before he hits that home run, and that's what you got. Do not make this move. Do not make this move. Number one, Godwin, you want to keep Godwin around because he's going to lead Tampa Bay in receptions, number one. Godwin's very well could go over 100 catches this season. And David Montgomery, I think I would not move Montgomery for A-Chain, but I get why you're asking. Do not make this move. Do not make this move because Montgomery came very close to going over 1,000 yards this year. And Godwin is on this team, Godwin can still be a number 2. I would recommend on this team moving Williams if you can. And the reason why I say that is there's going to be a lot of value for Williams. I think that 100-yard game is a flash in the pan. I really think it's a flash in the pan. I would see what you can get for Williams. I'll be honest with you. If A-Chain doesn't play this week, move Williams for A-Chain. Move Williams for A-Chain. See if you can do that. But don't listen in a full PPR. If you got a stud like Justin Jefferson, get guys that are consistently going to get you points like David Montgomery and Godwin. Would I trade Godwin for MHJ and Mozart? That's interesting because Marvin Harrison Jr. is he had 1 catch for 4 yards last week. He's not doing that again. I mean, you don't take a guy 4th overall. You don't take a guy 4th overall and then have him catch 1 pass. You don't do it. Mozart, the way I understand it is, I don't think it's a serious injury. I think he'll start week 3. I think. I really want to double check on that. Off the top of my head, I'm a huge Chris Godwin fan, and I just got done saying I do believe this. I think he's going to have 100 receptions this year. So there's some factors involved. I do like this trade though, and there's a lot of factors involved. Okay, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to produce. Okay, he is going to produce. Who's the better receiver? Well, it's going to be Godwin for this year, but you're going to get some good games out of MHJ. You're really going to get some good games. I promise. Okay. Mozart, I believe he's going to play next week. I don't think let me double check. I don't think the injury is overly severe. I don't think it's overly severe. All right. So I'm reading this direct. By the way, ESPN's not the best, but the Dolphins are not expected to place Mozart Chest, who's already been rolled out for Thursday's divisional game against the Bills on injured reserve via Ian Rappaport. Okay. And that just kind of confirms. There's a lot of factors involved in this cruise. Because I really like Godwin, I would make this move. Keep in mind, you better have a need for a running back, and you better have another receiver. But yeah, I would make this move because Mozart is going to get. Remember last year he had 18 touchdowns. Yeah, he can play. I think the Pats will challenge for the division. Teams can't overlook the Pats. I do have them winning this week, but here's the drill. Here's the drill. They have no weapons at receiver. They have a couple of young guys that are still developing. The offensive line's not good. As much as I like. Another brain freeze. As much as I like their quarterback, he's not the franchise guy. I don't think they're a serious threat, but I think they'll hover around 500. I really do. I have him and Richardson, so JT could lose touches. I think this week, Jonathan Taylor's going to have a huge game. I really think he's going to have a big game. I really do. I think the switching up the defenses plus the clips of Anthony Richardson going deep, I think that's enough. That I think this could be one of those like 30 carry performances out of Jonathan Taylor. This week, Jonathan Taylor is the dude you definitely want to start. Just my opinion. But Mike, let me see. What was the comment that you had earlier? I apologize. Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I get what you're saying. On the Pacheco trade, I have Dobbins and Najee. Don't skimp on those guys. Okay, so you have Dobbins, you have Najee. Those are the guys you want to start. I don't think I can survive Puka being out for so long. Okay. Let me go back to this because you got two stud running backs already. Hold on here. Where was that trade at? Mike, where was that trade at? 10-team PTR trade. So you have two really. Okay, so you got wow. Wow. Okay. This is a little different. So you got Brees. Oh wow, you have Brees, you have Dobbins, you have Najee. Oh God, you got three running backs? Jesus. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you have a very weird situation because you got three absolute studs. Okay, but here's a drill though. You got Terry McLaurin, right? I don't want to move him for Marvin Harrison. You don't need CMC. You don't want to move. Okay, so you don't need CMC. I get that. I listen. So you're getting. I just want to be very clear. You're getting rid of CMC, Terry McLaurin, and Njoku for Pacheco and Marvin Harrison Jr. I still would not make this trade, but I will say this: you don't need CMC. Keep McLaurin, and this is not a good trade. It's still not a good trade. But no, you don't need CMC. So find another trade. Keep Terry McLaurin because you're going to get production out of Terry McLaurin. But yeah, I get what you're saying. You got three really good running backs. On the Pacheco trade though. But here's the deal. Remember, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to get more involved, but 1 catch, 4 yards. What did McLaurin have last week? Yeah, I know he beat 1 for 4, and McLaurin's going to get more involved in that offense. So keep McLaurin. Find a different trade, Mike. I find a different trade. I didn't realize how far behind I was on comments. If I don't get a chance to hear back from you, drop a comment. I'm on Instagram. I'm on X, Twitter, whatever. You can also comment on the YouTube video. Find a different trade. Keep McLaurin. you can move CMC for something. There's somebody in your league that will give you something better than that. But I get the logic, but keep McLaren. I would actually tell you the truth. I wouldn't even mess with that trade. I would keep that and see if you can move CMC a solo. Here's the drill. You have Olave, if I remember correctly, and you have McLaren. You can live with that until Puka comes back. You really can. Olave is going to have Olave went 2 for 11 last week. I understand you're not happy with that. Start him this week. See how you do. Keep McLaren, and you'll be in decent shape. I mean, Keaton Talk Sports says Patriots could compete. I think they're going to hover around 500, and for September and October, they're a viable option. But I think as the season goes on, they're not going to be a contender for the division. That said, if some crazy trade happens with Jamar Chase becoming a Patriot, and I said this when you're on the show, if that happened, then I would give up an arm and a leg if I was the Patriots to get Jamar Chase. Then we're having a different conversation. The way the Patriots are built this year, they're not a threat. But are they going to upset some teams? They did, and I think they're going to do it again this week. I think at the end of this week they'll be 2-0, still not a threat. Yeah, the Jets defense I was expecting to be a lot better. Stevenson can stay healthy and keep pace all season. Good, and I agree. I 100% agree. I have no confidence he can do that. When you're 245 pounds and you're getting those runs up the middle, he had 28 touches. A lot of those were up the middle. He takes a lot of punishment. Can't do that much. Stays healthy though, he's going to have a great season. Would you trade Devontae Adams and Stevenson for Garrett Wilson? We have John and Pacheco. Okay, I absolutely would not, even though I think Wilson's a number one receiver, and Devontae Adams is I think switching from like a 1 to a 2. Now keep in mind at the trade deadline, I wouldn't be surprised if Devontae Adams leaves. I just got done saying it, so but I'm going to say it again. I'm not. Hopefully, you don't think I'm being insulting. You want to keep Stevenson, even though I have no faith right now. Because I'm going to tell you something. You have John and Pacheco. Pacheco's not staying healthy. I would definitely start Stevenson over Pacheco if I was you. Do I want to make that move? No, I do not. And the reason why is that Pacheco is not going to be healthy all year either. Do not make this move. Long-term bench staff, drop Gus the bus for Singletary. Ooh. I want to be very clear. I have no faith and confidence in the Giants offense. None. I do expect Singletary to be used more. Okay. I also look, J.K. Dobbins is a number one running back until he gets hurt, and he's been hurt more than or he's been injured more games than he's played in the NFL. But when he does get hurt, you're going to hate me. If Dobbins stays healthy, this is a no-brainer. If Dobbins goes down, you're going to hate me. Do you want to bank on a guy's health who's been on injured reserve more than he's played? Okay, that's your issue. Would I do this move? I would, because Bradley is going to be used less and less until Dobbins goes down. So would I do this move? I would. Once Dobbins goes down, Gus Bradley's going to get in there, and he's going to be wildly productive, and you're going to hate me. Singletary's the bell cow guy, and also think Singletary's going to be used a lot more this year because I know for a fact that they know Daniel Jones can't do it. They know Daniel Jones isn't the guy. They're going to try to force feed Neighbors, and they're going to use Singletary a lot more. And the one thing about Singletary is I don't think he's a great running back, but is he a guy that can be a solid number 2? Absolutely. If Bradley takes over as a starting running back, is he going to outproduce Singletary? Probably. But as long as Dobbins is healthy, Bradley's going to be relegated to doing what I'm doing. That's sitting down. So the answer is yes. But if Dobbins goes down, you're going to be mad at me. So keep that in mind. Sheldo, please help. Please pick my running back number 1, number 2 in flex. I got Jerome Ford, James Cook, Brian Robinson, Jalen Reed, full PPR. Thank you. Okay. I would definitely start Cook. Cook would be my running back number 1. I would go running back number 2. I would go Jerome Ford. Here's where you have some issues. You have Brian Robinson and Jalen Reed. Now, I would normally kind of lead because I like Jalen Reed a lot, but Malik Willis, I have no idea what you're going to get out of him. I have no clue. So what I would do is I would go Cook number 1, Ford number 2, Brian Robinson your flex, because with Malik Willis, I mean I'm not exaggerating when I say this. Malik Willis could go out there and go 7 for 20 and 60 yards, and then may have 70 yards rushing. I remember he started the game against Kansas City, and it was like he looked like he had no idea how to play in an NFL offense. It was something like I'm almost quoting that Kansas City stat line. It was something weird. It was like 7 out of 19 for 50 yards. It was really weird. He had almost more yards rushing. It was terrible. So I would avoid Jalen Reed, even though I get Jordan Love was the quarterback. You got something good. He's not your quarterback. So I'm a Jalen Reed fan. He may get shut out. I'm not exaggerating. So I would go Cook as your number 1 option. I would go Ford. Brian Robinson, he's going against a pretty decent Giants defense, but I mean, I would, that's how I would do it. Best of luck. Let me know. And let me know how things go, brother. Dan Keaton and Denver Gator, do you think the Cards should trade Murray at the draft to a quarterback needed team and pick a young quarterback with the picks they get from trade Murray? There's a lot of things that are involved in there. Number 1, if the Cardinals win 4 or 5 games again, there is a definite chance you could have a new head coach. There's a definite chance you could have a new head coach. So in that situation, I would strongly consider it. And the team I would look at would be the Raiders, because you may be able to get rid of there's some contract stipulations and everything. You have to make it work money wise. Because the Cardinals would have to eat a lot of money. But if you got a new head coach, and you have to, by the way, you have to be in a position where you can get the guy that you want. You can't do like Minnesota and like we'll get some draft picks and hope that we can make a trade. No, you have to lock down. There's a lot of different factors. A lot of different factors involved. I would look at the Raiders and see what they would offer. The Raiders may want to go with a young guy too, but I could also see the Raiders, because Luke Getsy, if he stays as the offensive coordinator, he worked with Justin Fields last year. Yeah, I know he got fired, but I think that he really wants by the way, I don't expect Getsy to be back, but let's just say he does. I think he wants a mobile guy. Well, let's just say you get an established quarterback like Kyler Murray with the Raiders, which I think makes sense. Would the Raiders be willing to give you enough? I think they might. And the reason why I say that is the defense is solid. The offensive line's not terrible. But from the Arizona standpoint, they have to get their guy. Like they can't. If Arizona's like 8-9, you don't do this. But if Arizona's picking like top 5, top 10, and they can get the guy that they want, and they know that they can get the guy that they want, and they can work. I don't know the full details of the contract. I think they would have to. The Cardinals would have to eat. I don't think it's financially viable. But if it's financial viable and they have a trade partner, I would call the Raiders first. Because let's just say the Raiders are 8-9 and they can make a trade for Murray, but they can't get the quarterback they want in the draft, just like this year. Then yeah. A lot of ifs, but yeah. DJ Reader is healthy and ready. I think he will help us. I don't know. I don't know if he is or not. That might be a lot to do with it. J-Bad, sup, Dan, got this trade offer today. Najee and Goff for Pollard? I lost Jordan Love, so I'm leaning towards taking it for the quarterback stability. 16 team half PPR. Absolutely. And Pollard scored last week, but I like Najee more than I like Pollard. I think they're going to lean more on Najee Harris down the line. Now, that said, I'm saying this because I think Justin Fields is going to take over as full-time starting quarterback. Goff is solid. So, yeah, absolutely make this move. J-Bad, I'm sorry I didn't get this question sooner because whoever made this trade may have some buyer's remorse. Make this move quickly. Because Najee Harris is going to produce just as much as Pollard, maybe even more. I actually think that he's going to be used more. And then you also get your quarterback. So, yeah, make this move. Make it fast. The Jets go, yeah. Teams trade for Drake London. I don't think Atlanta really wants to do anything like that. I think Atlanta, and now keep in mind, if Atlanta is like 3-5 and Tampa's 6-2, maybe. But I don't think Atlanta is I don't see Atlanta as a team looking to move pieces. That's just my opinion. By the way, absolutely, Montgomery can be that guy. Yeah. Lineup for week 2, Dak, Jacobs, Henry, Lamb, Dell, Coleman, Goddard, Kamara, and Flex. Nice pull. Nice. I pulled Pickens to put in instead of Coleman. Thoughts? I like it a lot. The only thing I wouldn't like is I don't know if Denver is going to isolate Surtain on Pickens the whole game. But it's kind of funny what Pickens said is he goes, hey, man, I played in the SEC. I played against him in the SEC. There's a lot of good guys in the NFL. I'm a good player too, and I'm paraphrasing. I like it. I like Pickens. Look, Pickens. Listen, I know he didn't do a lot, but the more Fields is in that offense, the better he is going to be. There is a good chance that they just tell Surtain if Pickens goes to the bathroom, you go to the bathroom. I'm being facetious. But yeah, if you just got Pickens, you mean CD Lamb's a no-brainer. I would seriously put I would put Pickens in maybe over Dell. A lot of people like Dell. I get it. I wouldn't mind, but put him over Coleman. Yeah. Get Pickens in that lineup. Yeah, I like Kamara in the flex, by the way. To tell you the truth, I like Kamara more than I like Derrick Henry. I think Kamara will get more points for you. Derrick Henry might get a touchdown again. That Raiders defensive line's tough. But I'm kind of, that's going to be kind of an interesting game. But I like Kamara in the flex. I think you're going to be very, very happy with Kamara. I think he's going to have a good game for you. Dallas Cowboys defense tough, but I still expect Kamara to put up some points for you. But yeah, to answer your question, put Pickens in there. 314 skip to my Lou. I love it. If CMC is out, start Mason or Mike Evans flex full PPR. I can also sit ETN or Kamara to start both. I can't sit Cup or St. Brown. No, you can't sit either one of those guys. Even though St. Brown 3 catches 14 yards. You want to start St. Brown. God. This is a tough one. This is a tough one. By the way, I wouldn't sit ETN. I know he had a fumble. I know he's going against a tough Browns team. I get that. If you want to sit ETN, I wouldn't blame you. I don't think Mason's going to be nearly as productive. I would start Evans over Mason. You might want to consider Mason over ETN. But here's the thing. I think Minnesota's defense and at home it's going to be tough. But the one thing I could see is Mason getting a touchdown. ETN against a tough Browns defense, that's tough. I get it. But to answer your question, I would go with Mike Evans. Look. There's a lot of young, new faces in that Detroit secondary, and I think Evans is going to have some points. I mean, here's the deal with Mason. I really think it's a flash in the pan. It depends on your situation, of course, but here's what I'm looking at. With Mason, you have a large degree of variance. With Evans, for a fact in a full PPR league, Evans is a lock to get you 10 to 15 points, okay? Evans is a lock to get you points, all right? With Mason, I don't know. I mean, Mason, you have the huge upside. You could also have a 35-yard performance. And you could end up, you could be like a 3-point or 25-point. With Evans, for a fact you're getting 10 to 15. If you want to roll the dice, you can sit ETN for Mason because ETN's going against a very tough Browns defense. I wouldn't recommend it because Ezekiel Elliott had 40 yards on the ground and a touchdown. I think he had a few catches too, and I think ETN will beat that. So start Evans. And by the way, you're correct. Don't. By the way, somebody may try to tell you sit St. Brown because Jameson Williams is going to blow up. No. Don't sit Cup. I know you're not sitting Cup. I know. Don't sit. I would start Evans. Great question. I know a lot of new faces. Great to see. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, even share. We're all here to support Dan and his channel. He works hard for entertainment. Hey, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. By the way, listen, I'm down to the final 15 minutes. If I don't answer your questions, drop a comment below. As soon as I get done watching Thursday Night Football, I'll respond. Also, I'll be on live tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be kind of my preview to the football games, but I'm more than willing to answer fantasy football questions tomorrow. The way the show is going to be in the future is fantasy football Wednesdays and Thursdays. We're also going to try to talk. I didn't talk today, but I'm going to try to talk more college football Wednesday and Thursday. Matter of fact, some big news in college football about the Pac-12 being reborn, stealing about 4 teams from the Mountain West Conference. Didn't even bring that up today. Oh God, I would love to hear Keaton, because Keaton, I think, wants to start him sooner. I think they should wait, but we'll see. I think the Rams' young wide receivers that got injured in the Lions game will be out all season. I know you're not talking Nakuda, are you? Nakuda's not going to be out all year. I think he's on the PUP list, but I think he'll be back in a few weeks. I think. Perry, no need to trade Murray. They're doing a pretty good, building a solid team. Kyler's not an issue. Arizona's on a good path that they're drafting a trade. I would love to hear what Corey, a.k.a. the Red Sea, has to say about that. Josh Hutchinson, I traded CMC for Bajan and Ridley. Thoughts? I like it. I'm not sold on Ridley and that offense, but I do like Bajan Robinson. CMC's probably not going to play this week. He's iffy. Bajan Robinson's going to get a lot more touches going forward. I like it. Ridley's not. Ridley's a guy that I know what the Titans were thinking bringing him in. I know what they're thinking. I don't think he's going to be wildly productive. I think they need to get a new quarterback, but I do like it. I think Bajan Robinson stays healthy. It's a good move. CMC's probably not going to play next week. May not play the week after that. Nobody really knows about the CMC situation. But you got a guy that has all the tools to be a running back number one. Plus, you got an additional guy in Ridley who I kind of want to worry about. So, yeah, that bothered me too. With the the Panthers are not in the market for a quarterback, but the Raiders are. And I don't know if you remember this. It was either last year, 2 years ago. Murray had that like icon. It was like a 12-second 2-point conversion where he's just running around everywhere, and then finally ran into the end zone against the Raiders. Raiders remember that. I think the Raiders, if Kyler Murray is on the trading block, the number one team. Well, the Giants would be another team, but the number one team I would contact if I was interested in moving Murray would be the Raiders. Not only because of that play, which they definitely remember, they need a quarterback, and you have a team that's as a defensive-minded coach, they could see Kyler Murray like, hey, look, all we want you to do is try to score us 24. They would also sell Kyler Murray on the Call of Duty tournaments there in Vegas. I'm teasing. Bad joke. But the Panthers are not interested in a quarterback. They have to. They're gonna try for this year and probably next year to make things work with Bryce Young. Sorry. Aaron, what's up, brother? I have to drop one of the three, Rashad Shaheed, Addison, or Lazard. Addison was on my IR before waivers, but he's questionable, so I have to drop one. Thanks, love the content. Aaron, man, thank you so much for the comment. Great question. I like Rashad Shaheed a lot, so I want to keep him. I've never been big on Lazard. Addison is on the injury report, but he's questionable. I really think that as long as Addison is available, you got to keep Addison. It's a tough matchup against a good Niners defense. If it's long term, Shaheed and Addison, no question. Just this week, if it's just this week, maybe you want to go with Lazard over Addison. I would not. So the one I would drop would be Lazard. I'm really high on Addison. I like Shaheed in this new offense because what the Saints are doing is switching. They brought in a Clint Kubiak from San Francisco. He was the pass game coordinator. He's now the offensive coordinator. And what they're doing with the Saints is they're making it more of a power, physical run team that goes deep. And then you got Shaheed, who's got some size, and he's a big play threat. Plus, you got Chris Olave. Now, Chris Olave, 2 catches, 11 yards. That will go up against Dallas. But could Shaheed have a big game? Sure, he could. Shaheed could also have the 2 catches, 11-yard performance. But keep an eye out on the injury report. I am expecting Addison to play. If Addison does play, he's the number 1 guy on this list. So the answer is drop Lazard, but keep an eye out on the injury report. But I fully expect Addison to play. I expect Addison to play. Does Penix start this season? If he does, it will be late in the year. If there's no chance to get into the playoffs, or they have a playoff game locked up. As they're competing, no. The week 1 performance against the Steelers, I think that was more rust. I think that they're just planning on Penix just watching and learning. Remember, Jordan Love did that for 3 or 4 years. That's kind of my thought process. Should the Packers bring in Mason Rudolph, the former quarterback of the Steelers? He's actually on the Titans right now, and I'm actually thinking he may get a chance to start sooner than later. To be perfectly honest with you, but that's kind of my thought process. But he's with the Titans. You got the Titans quarterback that you wanted in a trade, so probably not. Tannehill's a free agent. You could also, seriously, with the offense that you run there in Green Bay, I would almost consider Cam Newton. I know that sounds crazy, but hey, look, you're just going to throw the ball. Maybe you want to throw deep. But I think they're going to stick with Malik Willis. But Mason Rudolph, I really think Mason Rudolph may get a chance to start in Tennessee before the season's over. Josh Jacobs, our chain half PPR. Well, there's a good chance our chain's not going to play tonight. I would go with Jacobs. Especially this week. Next week, if you have the same question, I may give you a different answer. But I like Josh Jacobs. I like what I saw against the Eagles. I know that they're trying to get him more involved in the passing game. But I would go with Jacobs. Keep an eye out for later this week. A-Chain may not even play. He's on the injury reports, game time decision. So you definitely this week go with Jacobs. Going forward, I'm leaning towards Jacobs, but you want to kind of keep an eye. Snag 2K. I'm not sure about this trade. CMC and Waddle for Barkley and Brown. What do you think, since CMC has been hurt? I would make this move, and I'll tell you why. AJ Brown is a legitimate stud, number 1, and you heard me talk about how much I love Jalen Waddle, and I do, and I also think that Waddle could go for 100. I believe that. Brown's a number 1. I mean, Brown's over Waddle. Barkley can do everything CMC can do. He really can. Both have injury issues, but one's playing, one's not. I would make this move. I would make this move, And the reason why is you're getting a big upgrade with Brown over Waddle. You're getting a big upgrade of Brown over Waddle, even though I love Waddle. I love Waddle. Waddle will go over 1,000 this year. AJ Brown could go over 1,512 touchdowns. Waddle's probably getting 1,000 in 7 or 8. That's just truth. That's just the truth. But I would make this move. I would make this move. You probably got somebody who's a big CMC fan, but both CMC and Barkley have been hurt. So you have to factor that into it. CMC and Barkley is basically a wash, to be honest with you. Even if weather is a factor. Weather is a factor, but I do like this move. Okay, listen, I only got 2 minutes left. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to I see some really great questions on here. By the way, yeah, make that move. Make that move. He's talking about this one. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Make this move. Yes, make it. I wouldn't worry about that, but keep in mind, Philly doesn't always play in the best weather. So keep an eye out on that. But yeah, I do like it. Final question. I may be able to get one more in, but final question is: would you trade DK Metcalf for Drake London? Ooh, what a great question. Both teams have new offenses. You have Cousins, who's with Atlanta now. Of course, if you throw week 1 away, like London will be more productive. The thing is with Metcalf is that there's not an NFL wide receiver of better size speed combination. I can't give you a yes or no answer. I'll be honest with you. Out of the two, if I'm just playing, like you remember as a kid, you're just picking players off the bench, everybody lines up on the fence. I would take Metcalf over London. You have a couple of receivers there in Seattle. After watching them play week 1, it looks like they're going to be a lot more of a run-based team. I can't really give you a good answer on this. I need a little more information. Here's the deal with London. Metcalf's a better player. London's more of a legitimate number 1 because in Metcalf, he's not going to get as much. He's really not going to get as much. So that would be the answer. London has more of a legitimate chance to be a number 1. It's really hard to say. Ideally, these aren't your number 1s. Depending on the type of situation you're in. If you're in a situation where you need like kind of a boom or a bust, then yeah. If you need kind of solid production, I don't know what to tell you. The one thing I will tell you about Metcalf is that he's not going to be the number 1 option where Drake London can. Sorry, I feel like I didn't give you a great answer, but it's a tough one. Guys, I got to end the show. Listen, I'm for all your comments, all your questions, give you a couple options here. YouTube comments, every single question that you have, I'll answer them after I get done with Thursday Night Football. You can also hit me up on tomorrow's show, even though I'm going to preview all the great games that are going on Sunday and Monday Night Football. I'll answer these questions. You can also DM me, Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. You can DM me on Instagram. Or if you want to go old school, Dan Talks Football at yahoo.com. I'll answer everything tonight after I get done watching a great Thursday Night Football game. I hope to see you all back tomorrow.